Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the SEANC View Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, Communications Director here at SEANC, joined by Artis Watkins, the Executive Director, Government Relations Director, Suzanne Beasley, and podcast producer, Sam Klein.
It's just Wednesday, John.
I'm struggling already. Well, let's have a great show. I always get caught up whenever I say government on the end.
It can be a tough one.
Because of when I'm reading it.
It's a
I'm
big
just so
word.
country.
I feel like we're in a very slap-happy mood today. Like the energy in this room
It's
is
an
already
exciting
goofy.
podcast, everyone. Happy Taylor Swift Wednesday, everyone.
Yay! Sam and I.
Sam, why don't you tell us what's happening today?
So on Monday, Taylor Nation posted a carousel of 12 photos where Taylor was all wearing orange during the Eras tour, and then had the caption of thinking a lot about when she said, "See you next era." Later that afternoon, a countdown popped up on her website that ended at 12:12 a.m. on August 12th. I did stay up for that countdown, which she announced her brand new 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl.
So you're caught up to speed, SEANC members, on the pop culture of the day. And we'll probably get into that a little bit more with the Gen Z minute that may be Gen Z hour today. But anyway, like I said
But
today.
listen, aren't we cool?
Yeah, we're cool, right? Hello, fellow teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving that.
Swifty over 50.
We're giving that energy right now.
It is August 13th. Is that okay? We'll get into that later, but that's part of it, right? 13.
Yes.
That, like her thing. Okay.
Yes, very important.
Okay. It's rainy outside. It's rained for like a full week. I have to get work done in my yard now because of all this rain. So
Yeah, so y'all be safe.
This has been extreme summer weather,
yeah, it's been like
and it's
super
gonna. It
rainy
will.
this
It will
summer, right?
expose
Well, extreme heat.
any weaknesses.
Yeah.
And now we're having flooding every way you turn.
And Tropical Storm Erin that has been forming in the Atlantic has recently made a turn and started heading towards North Carolina.
Yeah, I heard that this is going to be. It's
It
like gonna
could be
a
at
direct hit,
least
right?
a Cat 3.
Looking at like a Hugo situation from what I was
Yeah.
seeing.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, so that's fun. That'll be what, next weekend or?
It said probably making landfall on the 20th. So next
okay.
Thursday-ish.
You know,
Wednesday?
SEANC's convention is in 3 weeks.
Yep.
And it would be odd if we didn't have some
Always.
tropical activity right before, during, or after it.
Yeah.
Just right then.
And you know that state employees will be on the front lines too.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, we're about 6 weeks away from the first anniversary of Helene hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that this morning, that so many people went through so much, and we told them repeatedly on the podcast, we won't forget you. And I think I'm really proud of SEANC's board of governors because they haven't. I know that when our connections committee has a report every time, I think Helene has been mentioned every board meeting.
Yeah.
You know, whether there were needs or what the needs were that we knew of back when people were still reporting those. I think North Carolina did a pretty good job coming together around that. Not that there's not plenty of work to be done out there, but we're still thinking of you is the message, folks out west.
And hopefully we don't have to do it again this year with this storm.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, hopefully they stay away.
Yeah. But it is North Carolina, so
Yeah.
probably, what do we get, like one every 2 or 3 years? Really bad hurricane or?
I feel like we get one like every year.
Every
at
year.
least.
I don't
But they're-
know.
yeah,
I
they're
really
not
don't know
always
how it
bad enough to
averages. They
shut
feel
things
like
down.
they're a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
We need to hire a meteorologist for the SEANC View podcast.
I can at least guarantee 2016 to 2020, we had one every single year because those were the 4 years my brother was in college and he went to UNCW.
Oh, yeah.
And they had hurricane break in between, like fall break and winter break
Yep.
every single year.
Well, so state employees that we have to rely so heavily on when there are storms, we're really hoping for y'all's sake that you don't have to go do that this year, but we're really comforted knowing you're there.
Yes.
So let's jump into the budget discussion. There's not a whole lot to talk about this week. I did see a article, I think it was like a column written by a Representative Todd Carver I guess he's from the Iredell County because
Yeah.
this is the Iredell Free News. He has a column in there, I guess.
Okay, that's where the
That's awesome.
Sanford is coming out in him. Iredell. What is that?
How do you say it?
Iredell.
Iredell.
There's an E in there, right?
Shows that
It's not Ira, like
I would say
Iredell.
Iredell. I've always said Iredell. I'm sorry, Iredell County.
shows that I did not grow up in North Carolina because that's never how I pronounced it.
I have a soft spot in my heart for local news outlets like this.
Yeah.
And so good on Representative Carver for appreciating it as well and for writing a column on this website. But he said, I hope we can get to a budget deal. Without it, there will be no cost of living raises for state employees and retirees. There's no growth in our ability to provide services for our citizens. There are many projects we will not be able to fund without the adoption of a state budget. So
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
on him
Thank
for-
you for that, Representative Carver. He's absolutely right.
is there any movement at all, or
Not that I'm aware of. They come back on August 26th, and that remains to be seen whether they will actually take up more business or if that's just going to be a skeletal session because they're coming back once a month
Yeah.
till short session. And the last session when they were here, that was a chaotic week, but we heard everything from they'll come back in August and do something to we're not going to address this until short session. So,
So stay tuned, I
yeah,
guess.
August 26th.
state employees and retirees. And I know you may get tired of hearing this, but you still have to be that squeaky wheel if you want to get the grease. You weren't in the mini budget. Some people were in the mini budget. Most of you were left out of it. You got nothing in terms of a pay raise, and retirees, you got nothing in the mini budget. There could be multiple mini budgets before we ever have a real budget, if we have one at all. If you want to show up in any of those, you have to show out, not in a negative way, but in terms of being heard. You have to make those phone calls, send those emails, do what you have to do to make sure you contact your legislator.
Keep
They
yourself on
want to
the
hear
radar.
from you. They
Yeah.
really want to hear from you.
Yeah. Squeaky wheel gets the grease,
That's
from what or at least gets some.
Well,
At least
I mean,
keeps you on the table. for
especially
discussion.
if you're a freshman legislator and you're going to caucus and you try to stay kind of quiet, you're still learning. However, one thing you're going to share is there's so many needs out there, but what are the ones your district is talking to you
Right.
about? And if
Yeah.
you don't have any state employees or retirees calling you, you could have tons of them in your district that feel very disrespected, but they're not calling.
Right, so
Well, how
they-
do you know
Yeah.
that they're feeling disrespected?
and
So
you probably maybe you feel like you don't even have any state employees if you don't hear from them.
have no clue how many you have usually.
Yeah. And they talk to us. I mean, you have the team on the ground over there all the time, but it's different when you hear straight from your constituents. And I ask when I speak to folks over the legislature, are you hearing from our people? So,
That's
Yeah.
a good question to ask.
it is. That lets me know if you guys are actually feeling engaged, and we hope that you are. So, yeah, make those phone calls. Don't be discouraged if you don't get.
Well, I had a
answer.
legislator say to me years ago, Suzanne, and you may have been with me when it happened, and it stuck with me. We were making an argument and saying, look, because so many people were calling us, we said they are hopping mad. They are so upset that they haven't received a raise. And I can't remember who it was, but a legislator looked at me and said, we're not hearing anything from them. And if we're not hearing anything from them, what that tells me is they're fine. And we reiterated, no, they're not. To which he responded, you're paid to come here and
Yeah.
say that. You know,
Yeah.
y'all are the paid lobbyists.
That's right.
And so you need that representation by professionals to follow things, make sure they understand what bills say so they don't hurt you, and try to move your message along. But if you don't have hand in hand with that people who are staying engaged and making those phone calls and sending those emails, you don't have the whole package.
Yeah.
Speaking of hopping mad, the focus of today's episode will be on the State Health Plan Board of Trustees meeting, which is coming up on Friday. We'll release this podcast on Friday, and the news will be out by then, what comes out of that meeting. They're going to be deciding premiums for the upcoming year. And from what Thomas Friedman told us and from what we were hearing, that there will be increases pretty much across the board, right?
Yeah, there will be. They're tiered.
Yeah.
The materials haven't been released. That'll be presented at the board meeting on Friday. So I can't give you exact numbers on that, but depending on what you make will depend on what your increase is going to be.
State Treasurer Brad Briner told the News and Observer that Premium increases will be tiered, with those earning the least seeing less of an increase in premiums. Higher deductibles and other plan design changes were approved in May at that.
Right.
Right. So they vote at May.
Yeah, that there would be changes. So we'll have specifics after Friday's meeting. Unfortunately, I don't have them to share in the podcast at this time.
But go back and listen to our episode with Thomas Friedman. It was very informative. A lot of those questions were at least discussed.
Well, okay, so here's where we are. There's no budget,
Yeah.
so nobody's getting a pay raise right now.
Right.
They know for a fact their health care is going to go up.
Right.
Their premiums are going to go up. And we did have a great conversation with Thomas Friedman recently, and I think that he and the rest of Treasurer Briner's staff are really very aware that the plan is spending too much on the health care. Mm-hmm. They're not really sure what to do with that, because if you're trying to take on the power of the big corporate healthcare machine, which Treasurer Falwell used to call a cartel, and Thomas declined to say something like that because they're trying to work things out with them. But I'm going to say it. I don't know what incentive there is if you're the big corporate healthcare machine to give any ground. So I know Treasurer Briner has been very public about the fact that his feeling is that there's nothing to do but increase the premiums on people. Mm-hmm. We've been very upfront back to the health plan and with Treasurer Briner saying, well, yeah, there's plenty of other stuff we can do. I know what they're meaning when they say we can't do it is that the pushback would be too immense and that the perceived support of the legislature would be too great on behalf of the hospitals to tell them they can't make 800% of Medicare reimbursement for treating state health plan folks when it only takes 200% of Medicare reimbursement to make a profit.
Yeah. So Briner put out a video on Monday directly to state employees. You can go and find that. That's about a 5-minute long video. And in it, he says, and I quote, "Healthcare providers have stepped up and gotten their costs down for our plan members." Without any more information on that.
I mean, he's the only one that can speak to that
Yeah.
because no one else can see any of this information.
It's all the way back to transparency.
Yeah. The issue I have with that is that, again, state employees have been footing the bill, and we know for a fact we were paying some providers 4 times what it takes to make a profit. If they still don't want to show us the contracts to show us if they're the ones making 4 times, 3 times, whatever it takes to make a profit, more than they should, then it tells me we're still overpaying them.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't overpaying me, I would want you to see.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about, that would mess up our competition, bull pippies. It's wrong to have in a town as big as Raleigh to know that you can get a colonoscopy one place and have it be 4 to 10 times what it costs another place down the road. I get it that, okay, so we're negotiating a better deal with the one that's 4 to 10 times less. That's really not the point. The point is the one that's 4 to 10 times less is still making a profit. Why in the world are we even entertaining the one in a town where we've got people who will do it more reasonably? Why are we even entertaining them? But there's nothing to stop this madness. They don't have to show the public anything.
Yeah.
In light of the attention the DMV audit got, it just reminded me again, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
If the public wanted to see how much public money's being squandered. Now, again, to his credit, Treasurer Briner and his team have a lot of ideas about how to try to bring the market in line through just normal competitive measures. And we support them in that. We're going to do everything we can to support them in that. I'm still skeptical that without something prohibiting people from ripping off the state, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and they're talking about when they're negotiating with providers, too, there's a lot of conversation about driving the volume of people who go to specific providers. If they'll take less, more people will get more people going to you, so you'll recoup your money.
And I think they're wise to do that.
Yeah.
I just take exception with saying there was nothing left to do, no other way to fix this problem than to raise the premiums, because that is factually inaccurate. There are things we could have done for years. This did not creep up out of nowhere. We have pounded this drum for I don't even know how many years at this point about the fact that, hey, we're getting ripped off. It makes our healthcare way too expensive. This is a benefit for employees. It's not a gift.
Yeah.
It's a benefit of employment, and that employment is employment that state employees accept lower pay than they would in the private sector to get. So the state owes a special duty to taxpayers and to these employees not to overpay for this health care and then turn around and say, well, there's nothing we can do but charge you more. That is not true.
Yeah.
So he starts the video explaining how we got here, I guess. And it stuck out to me that two of the things that he mentioned, first he mentions that premiums haven't increased in 7 years as a reason for this mess, which, I mean, I guess you could see it that way, but...
Well, let's look at it another way. For most of the history of state employment, they had no premium, and that was the way it was built to be, so that it was a really competitive benefit.
Yeah.
And now we're to the point where, well, we didn't raise it for 7 years. So
Yeah. And I've heard you mention this before, that's not a great...
Well, no, because that doesn't change the fact it didn't go up for 7 years simply because Treasurer Falwell said out loud, I acknowledge, having been in the legislature and watched what we didn't do to make sure there was transparency around this issue, it's not the employee's fault that this health plan costs so much money.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think sometimes it's easy to get in the mindset that, hey, everybody's premiums are going up every year, so state employees' premiums will go up too. Well, everybody's salary's going up every year, but state employees aren't. So, I mean, if we wanted to treat state employees like everybody else, fine. That would be awesome. Because we've been over it. The average raise in the private sector in North Carolina this year far exceeds anything they're going to get. And the average raise even in local government far exceeds anything that's been put on the table. So if we want to start treating state employees like everybody else, cool. But right now, nobody's doing that. They just want to treat them like everybody else when it comes to what they're paying for their health care, but not in any way that would be a positive.
And another positive we see for employees was the CPP, and he basically called it a failure, that it cost $100 million.
Well, I mean, it was a failure because it couldn't succeed because there was no teeth behind it.
Yeah.
It was something Treasurer Falwell was doing when he was stymied to do anything that would require people to not rip the state off.
It's not like that was his strategy for dealing with this.
No,
he was thinking outside of the box.
He was trying to drive the members of the health plan to give them the information about who's willing to not rip off the state.
Right.
Yeah.
In order to treat you, to give you health care. Here's those people.
And that only come about after providers just ignored his deadlines
Yeah, providers absolutely, again, knew they don't have to give up a thing in this equation. That they are in the driver's seat, they're driving all of us, patients, the legislature, they're driving us all around in their car. And that's why they can name stadiums after their facilities. That's why they can sponsor everything in town. They can provide spa-like birthing facilities and advertise it. If you aren't being charged too much, there's not that kind of gravy.
Yeah.
So then it's just, it's smart business if you run a hospital. It's just a bad deal for the taxpayers and employees.
One thing you did mention that we had talked to Thomas about was the partnership with Lantern. I think seems like that's going to be a positive for employees. I mean, we're in a wait and see.
Now, I will tell you, our folks so far on social media hate what they've read about it.
Okay.
But I think that's because it's so new. It's such a new concept. But they're like, they took great exception at a quote that I know Treasurer Bronner meant well, but he was saying, I don't remember the quote, but it was basically, the lowest price wins. Yeah. So the providers that will give us the best price. And he's not trying to make state employees go to bottom of the barrel people that charge low prices because they stink.
I mean, providers will be very well vetted.
Right.
So it's not just throwing anybody out there. And I know one of the other issues that I've had a couple of phone calls about, not a lot, but the Lantern plan would include if you needed to go to the Mayo Clinic or Johns Hopkins, something terrible was going on with you, then it would cover you there. But someone said, I don't want to have to travel for my health care. Well, it's not that, folks. It's
You don't have, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's not
have
that
to.
you
But if
have
you
to.
wanted to not pay a copay,
Yeah.
not have any costs to you for this surgical care,
then you can
you
go see
could.
one of these.
I mean, anything new is going to have rocks thrown at it. And I get it that people are very nervous about that, and that the way it sounds to them right now is, so you're trying to tell me if we take cheap care
Yeah.
that we can have it.
Well, and folks have good reason to be skeptical.
They do. But I do think this is something that as people hear this out, and we're going to get the word out to Scenic members to the best of our ability, because we have to participate in the answers. We can't just shoot everything down and say no to
Right.
it, and then want them to wave a magic wand and remove the political power of the hospitals to have the structure we have now. We can't expect a magic wand to be waved to where the legislature wants to put another $500 million in this plan.
Right.
And it would actually end up needing to be 3 times that in the next few years. They'd have to put in the plan to keep it viable. So we have to start saying yes to ideas that don't hurt anybody, but somebody can participate in if they want to. I think that's a really good win-win move on behalf of the state health plan.
Yeah.
Another thing in the video, I guess I'll end with this one, but he kind of gave a passing mention to maybe a cut in premiums for dependent care from the plan. And I know that we've talked about that as a great possibility. Like, it would be great if that would happen.
And
But he
coverage
didn't,
is always such a big deal because it's incredibly expensive.
but he didn't give any specifics on it. So maybe that's something we can get in the scoop on Friday if it comes out at the meeting. But I know a lot of people would welcome that, right?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, people would love to put their kids, dependents, period, but kids mainly.
And it changes the pool of people.
Right.
If you got younger people in there with less health problems, that's good for the
Yeah, the actuaries really look favorably on having those young people in the plan. So not having them makes everything cost more.
Yeah.
It's one of those terrible catch-22 the state put itself in knowingly for decades. And it's been talked about in legislative committee since I've been working here for 24 years. You know, it was very open. Look, if we can't get the kids in the plan, we're going to continue to pay more per person. But we're pricing the kids out, so people just go buy an off-the-shelf
That's right.
plan for their kids. And legislators would nod and move on, and nothing would happen. So again, there's so many variables to all of this that mean it's not something that's just crept up on us, and now they have to figure out a way to fix it, so go to the employees' pocketbooks, because that's the way. This has been a systemic, messed up thing that I don't know how many governors and legislators have been told about for decades.
Well, healthcare in general is a messed up.
Yeah.
And here we are,
Yeah.
number one most expensive place to go to the doctor in this country.
With worse outcomes.
Yep. Well, we'll let you know more. We'll be speaking Friday
Okay.
at the health plan Board of Trustees meeting, and I think it's going to be an interesting meeting in so much as I expect there will be some interesting comments from groups like us that I really want to hear, and I want to know what people are feeling, and I'd love to hear what the board is going to say, because again, at the end of the day, this is a thing they can do, but it's not the only thing they can do.
So moving on to a different topic, you had a meeting this week with State Auditor Dave Bolick. I guess that was yesterday, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it was.
How did that meeting come about?
They asked, and we were pleased to get the invitation and pleased to go over there and talk about everything. We talked about the DMV audit. We talked about other things that state employees have told us about for years that somebody needs to look at. And honestly, it was a really positive meeting. I was very encouraged to hear what he does, the kind of things he does want to look into. Obviously, one of the things that's going to affect every state employee is this DAVE Act. He's been given the responsibility to go in and do some DOGE-style effort to figure out what works and what doesn't in state government. He said he's not looking to just cut.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there will be pressure on him to cut because there's budgetary constraints. And so I do think opening those lines of communication is very important for us. And I think it's helpful to the auditor's office because our members know where the bodies are buried. I mean, they know where we're wasting money.
Yeah.
They don't like when we waste money as a state because they're taxpayers.
Well, and they know too it's going to impact everything in the
Correct.
budget. So
Yeah.
So I thought that it was a really good meeting. And we asked him to come on the podcast because there are so many questions that we had, or not questions so much for him, but I think there would be good questions we could ask so that our members could understand from his standpoint how he does view his work under the Dave Act, how he views his work around any other audits he does with state government or anything touching public money.
Well, that's neat. And
yeah,
excited. We'll have him on anytime he can come over to our lovely studios here, and that'll be an exciting conversation. Speaking of exciting conversations, let's move to the Gen Z moment. What's going on in Gen Z world? Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder.
So, besides Taylor Swift, we will talk about something else for a minute, I guess.
Okay.
I found an article that talks about how government can recruit and retain the Gen Z workforce.
Well, let's hear that.
And
Perfect topic for us.
reading it, I feel like it's a lot of things that we have been screaming from the rooftops for quite a while
we got
now.
our finger on the pulse of Gen Z here.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they start off with explaining that currently only 8% of government employees are under the age of 30. And with an aging government workforce looking towards retirement or changing to the private sector, that number needs to go up fast. So they had done a survey that said 50% of respondents believed that their efforts to recruit Gen Z employees or new workforce entrants were somewhat or very successful.
Okay.
Or on top of changing requirements for positions, marketing has become a big factor in successful recruitment, and public sector HR professionals have been finding new ways to reach younger generations using social media to connect with qualified candidates.
And we found that here too. We've had to reach into new areas like LinkedIn. I think we got you off of LinkedIn, Sam.
Yes, you did.
But and that stuff costs a lot of money
lot,
too.
yes.
So.
Yeah. While they cannot necessarily use TikTok, there are still videos that some public sector employees make on their breaks that have seemed to organically draw some Gen Zs to the public sector. But a big thing that they talk about is that a main driving factor for Gen Zs into the public sector is the importance of public service, which we have said multiple times on this podcast and in other things that we do. It's a calling.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Gen Z is a very loud generation, especially when it comes to political issues. And they motivate them on everything from what Gen Zs buy, where they go to school, what career they're ultimately aiming for. And so it is becoming more about targeting them where they're at.
Yeah, and I think Director Meyer from the Office of State Human Resources has been doing a lot of all that you just said because she recognizes that's the future of state government and that we have to make a huge push to get these younger folks into the state government workforce. And like you just said, Sam, I'm going to paraphrase what you said, but that public service heart, that wanting to make a difference that is such a big trait of younger folks, it's a great place for them to be able to exercise that trait and make a living. And I think they're going to have tremendous success with that after they've had time to get it implemented. I'm excited to watch it.
On the other hand, with the retention, that is still a very difficult thing because the main reason that Gen Zs are leaving the public sector, maybe 5 years after they've gotten into it, higher salaries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The main thing.
That's always been the case, though. Yeah. Honestly, you got two groups that are going to stay. Somebody who's just too scared to change jobs or somebody who really is committed to what they're doing. Yeah. And so they're like, ugh, I hate this, but the benefits will hopefully make it worth it. But my heart really is in the work.
Yeah.
And that, you do start to separate out.
Right.
I think the cream rises to the top. The ones that want to serve the public long term stay.
Yeah.
And I mean, the government across the board, they're going to have to get creative to draw you guys in because, what was it, 25% of the workforce is going to be eligible for retirement in the next 5 years?
Correct.
Was that the statistic? Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge amount of institutional knowledge and experience.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee they'll fill those jobs either,
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So I know we're a little pressed for time, so we'll just say Taylor Swift album. We'll have a full review of it next time.
I mean, the album hasn't even had its release date yet. We
we don't know.
Yeah,
We've
we are
got
hoping that we learn about that on the New Heights podcast tonight.
Okay.
Because that releases at 7 p.m. She announced it on her boyfriend's podcast. So cute.
Okay.
Jason Kelsey gave her an amazing introduction.
Party.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in honor of that new album coming out, the question of the week is, play my song.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
I love having a theme song. That's pretty awesome. Anyway, what is your favorite album ever? Not Taylor Swift specific, but ever.
Oh, it will be for her.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and start with you then. Go ahead and get it out of the way.
It's either Folklore or 1989.
I like Folklore. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Love them. Folklore was it was my second album that I ever had on vinyl. My first was Red by Taylor. My brother got that for me. And then I bought Folklore for myself because that was one of my favorite albums.
Mine is, I've really kind of racked my brain here of what it could be, but I think it's Decoration Day by the Drive-By Truckers. And you guys will not know that song. That
No.
album, but you should. Maybe I'll make you.
Listen to them a little bit though, since you brought them up a while back.
Yeah, it just holds such a special place in my heart and where I was at the time I listened to it. So it was like college time. So. Good, great album, great band. What's yours?
Mine's kind of heartfelt like that too.
Okay.
Purple Rain,
Oh,
Woo!
Prince Forever. There, we can end it right there.
Yeah. Enough said, right?
funny story about my dad and I. My friends went with my dad and his friend to the beach one time, right? And they went to like a nightclub or something because they were older than us, right? And so they come in that night. One of them was like singing Purple Rain. And he looks at my dad, who has no idea who this is, and was like, "Is that Pink Floyd?"
Oh my goodness.
And my dad says, "Yeah, I think so." Me and my friend Matt were cracking up.
Parents are so funny.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, it's not Pink Floyd. What about you, artists?
Well, I mean,
She's Purple Rain.
yeah, I'm a
era
Purple Rain girl,
but-
too. But same era, well, a little bit before. George Strait, Straight from the Heart, Full Hearted Memory, Marina Del Rey.
Kennedy Center
Amarillo
honors.
by morning.
Did you hear about that? He's going to win. Trump is giving him the Kennedy Center.
Well, so that album came out in like 82, 7 years before the class of 89, where Garth Brooks and Clint Black and Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt, and that was that class of 89. I loved everything everybody did. But I think George really was the first one to do that kind of country. Country music takes a million turns.
Yeah, is Amarillo by Morning on that?
Amarillo by Morning is on that. And
very good.
And then ELO, I don't know what the name of the album was,
wow.
but ELO had an album. I don't know.
We had the best music, man.
But that I remember
really did.
playing.
What's wrong, Sam?
No, all I can think about is that you're talking about the class of 89, and meanwhile, my artist was only born in 1989.
Right. No, yeah, this was the country music class of 89, so they would have been born in the 60s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This is old school.
How about George Strait, man? He just never ages, does he? What is he, like 80-some now?
No, he wouldn't be that old.
But he just looks like he's 40,
Yeah. He's a smooth singer.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll play a little clip.
Prince is Prince.
George Strait is 73.
73, okay. Wow.
Prince
All right.
Forever.
Well, that was a great episode. I look for the state health plan information in the scoop, and have a great week.